still to make it your career, and you can make enough money if you hustle.
Absolutely. And for the first time in my life, I'm actually focusing on going down that path. Late in the game, yeah.
But you can do it.
I don't care.
A lot of the guys are in their 40s and 50s doing it right now, and they're doing just fine.
Yeah, if I'm 85 years old and I can still do it, I'm gonna.
Hell yeah.
Keith Richards, Rolling Stones. You got the Rolling Stones.
Oh yeah, they can keep going. And
one of my favorite bands, by the way. Now.
Good. I pulled out a good shirt.
Yeah.
And then eventually, like we always say, like it'll be like our 40th season. We'll have you back on. And, you'll be 83 years old, and we'll be like, remember him? I'm in the band. 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 Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Level Up Cleveland. This week we have with us Mr. Brian Alan Hager.
Hey.
How's it going? Thanks for coming down, Brian.
Good. Thanks for having me. Really appreciate you getting me on here.
Heck yeah.
It's an honor.
Not a problem, man. The first name helps.
Yeah.
I love that.
That was it, right?
I love that. No, really.
We have the same name, so we got to get this guy on here, right?
Yeah, and people that don't know Brian, he's a songwriter, singer, guitar player, musician, another local musician who's making it as a musician and doing well as a musician. One of the things that you do that we notice a lot of guys doing today, because the situation of try to make money as a musician, for one reason, it's hard to do it with a whole band sometimes because there's a lot of people that got to get paid in a band. And you're another guy that used the looper. And you'll go up there and you can create the whole entire song by yourself, and you'll have multiple guitars up there, and you'll pull out an acoustic and lay down a nice rhythm. Then you'll pull out the electric guitar so you can solo over that, and you're singing and everything on top of all these things. This is what you do. But you also play in bands. You also have a 3-piece that you'll play with at times too.
Yep.
If the venue calls for it or whatever, if they hire the band instead of. That's who comes out and plays with it.
Right. Well, the good thing is the playing out solo helps me put a band together because I can make more money playing like 3 hours by myself than with a band. And then that money gets banked, and then I can hire musicians to play other shows where I want to have a band and then focus on the originals because I got to throw the covers in to get the money. Unfortunately.
Well, that's how you get paid. Yeah.
Right.
But you do both. You have an extensive original thing that you do, and
right. Yeah, I never thought I'd actually like doing the covers. This is the first time I started doing covers. I started doing the solo thing around 2019, and then COVID hit, and actually COVID helped me a lot because no one was rehearsing. I was solo. Everything shut down for a while, and nobody was doing anything then. But soon after that, people were trying to make money still, keep their businesses going. So I was like scurrying, trying to get my show down by myself in my basement, while nobody's out doing anything, and I'm down there rehearsing. And a lot of bands couldn't get together because of COVID and rehearse. So that kind of gave me a little bit of a void and got me a lot more shows than I think I would have gotten.
Now, did you learn the whole looper thing? Were you able to kind of like really hone in on that and get good at it through the pandemic also? Did that help you? It
did. It kind of forced me to. It's something I started probably 2016. I couldn't get it. I bought the little tiny ditto. I don't know if you guys know what a ditto is. It's a little small looper with one button. It's the basic model. I got the hang of that. It was kind of easy. Couldn't do that much, so I got the 2-button one. You can stop the loop and have 2 loops going. Got that a little bit, but I didn't really get it down and thought, I want to do more with this, so I bought the 4-button. Couldn't figure that out for the life of me. I just gave up. I was like, forget this. I can't do it.
Yeah, right. It's funny you say that because we had Billy Sullivan in here, and Billy was telling us the same thing. I mean, he's a phenomenal musician and everything. He's like, but that looper thing, man, it's tough. It's really tough. It's a whole different
Couldn't get
thing.
the timing down.
Yeah.
It was tough. You have to be like bam, right on the spot with it. And now it's like I don't even think about it. It's just it's easy. But COVID came and I thought, okay, I got to get this down. So
so a year ago, about a year ago to the day, you put out your first solo album.
right.
Your debut solo album basically comes out. It's almost a year ago. It's like in a month it'll be a year. A lot of that is you playing all the instruments. You're playing the guitars, bass. You're singing all your vocals and stuff like that. Your drums are programmed.
Right.
Okay, so what I want to know is a lot of this when you're performing these with a looper and you're doing all this stuff. You're kind of doing everything, right? When you recorded this album, did you kind of record it through a looper too? Did you kind of use? So you didn't do that.
No, that was the hard part. I had to, because when I record and I write music, I don't want to have any restrictions. I'm not thinking about how I'm going to perform this live.
Okay.
Figure that out later. So I can't perform everything exactly like the recording. I'm not going to just play to a track constantly. So I try to come up with a different way to make it work live.
Cool.
Yeah.
So it's more of it's more inventive. It's more kind of artistic in a way because it's two different. You're trying to recreate something with a different set of tools.
It keeps it fun, and I'll change it up every now and then because I'll get bored with the way I'm doing the song. So
not only do you do another stuff, but you have a pretty interesting life. I mean, you're one of these guys that really set out to be a musician. That was obviously something from a very, very young age. You decided that this was the route you were going to go, and you could just tell by the path that you ended up taking.
right. I did and I didn't. I did. The back of my mind, I was kind of scared about the whole thing, so I kind of didn't.
When you say scared, do you mean like, no one makes it? That whole argument. Well, what are you really going to do? You're going to be famous type thing. And so, you
hear that all the time.
Yeah, right. So you're
Right.
convinced almost of it, right? It's almost like you were torn.
I was torn because I had so much confidence. I thought I want to make it for sure. I'm good enough. I was a bit cocky about it.
Yeah.
And then I had my parents and friends. What are you doing? It's stupid. You need a backup. So when people do that, it puts that little voice in the back of your head that's constantly gnawing at your confidence. Mm. So I had that going all the time. So I always had this B plan in the back of my head. So I feel like I never really said, okay, I'm gonna do this solely. I'm gonna barely have a job. I'm gonna just try to focus 8 hours a day on this. I went to Berkeley, and I obviously did that there going to school, which probably wasn't the best idea. I can get into that later if you want, but
I do.
But I don't know. I just feel like I'm still doing it now. I never really stopped doing it, and it was always the back of my mind. I kept doing it. And
when did you pick up a guitar? I mean, when did all that
really
start?
Young, like I was 8 years old.
How does that happen?
My friend, my few houses down, I was over there all the time, and he had a guitar laying around, and he had an older brother who had a guitar, and his name's Ron. I'll say his last name.
Sure.
Ron Martinez.
Okay.
If he's listening, he's solely responsible for getting me started, and I don't know if he even really knows that. I think I told him that before, but the guitar was laying around his house, and he was into like Ted Nugent. And here I am in like 5th grade and love Ted Nugent. Don't like him that much now, but he was playing Cat Scratch Fever. He showed me how to play Cat Scratch Fever, and
so that was like your first your introduction.
Yeah, that and like.
So it's always one of those riffs, right? It's like Cat Scratch Fever riff or like Smoke on the Water. One of those riffs like that.
That was one of them too.
Yeah, right. You know what I mean? Those.
He could do this stuff, and he was probably like 5-6 years older than me. And I was like, oh, this dude's cool.
Yeah, right.
And I wanted to be like him, so he let me. Eventually, he had a couple electric guitars, and he let me borrow his electric guitar. So I gave it back to him 2 years later.
Yeah, right. That's where you
when I finally
play
bought
with
my
it.
own.
So did you right away take to it though? Like, did you right away? Were you always kind of like noodling on this thing?
I just loved the way it sounded. I would just walk up to it, and it would be sitting on the stand. And at first, it was like, "Don't touch that," but I would go up to it and I'd click the string and just listen to the sound of the string vibrating. I just loved how it sounded. I
wondered, like, when when you have a situation like you did where you're introduced to the guitar the way you were, where you have this guy who has guitar, do you think that it gains you even more confidence that this regular person's playing this instrument and so I can do this?
I think that's what the whole rock generation from the 60s and 70s and 80s was built on.
Yes.
I mean, because all those famous musicians, they were just regular people who made it.
Absolutely.
So that's what gave a lot of people the motivation. A lot of that is dying, unfortunately, where you don't see a lot of really big bands, and you don't see a lot of people that look like your regular people making it.
Well, I mean, like,
As much.
Well, I have kids that, they're out of high school now and stuff, but, and I have grandkids that are moving into that. And you see that, I don't remember, we were just talking to somebody not a couple episodes ago. Everybody played guitar in high school when I was going to high school. Everyone. I mean, everybody played guitar. Like there was a bass player here and there. There was a drummer here and there. A couple of people could sing, but everyone had a guitar. Everybody played guitar.
Oh yeah, man. Finding the singer, that was a tough one.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Right.
And so you're you see today's world. It's Dougie Manross. That's who we had in there, and you got a guy like Dougie who's 24 years old, and he's just killing it. But he's
an anomaly.
There's just a couple Dougies out there,
Right.
man. He's not. It's just and he was such a breath of fresh air to have him in here because it was like. He was so excited, and he was like everybody used to be in the 70s and 80s about guitar.
He is, yeah.
And
I've met him a few times to talk to him.
Yeah,
he's
he's
an anomaly, and not only are there not so many guitarists out there like him, who are so enthused about it, and he's really freaking good.
Yeah, right.
That's an anomaly too.
Right. He's got the talent to go with the
Yeah.
excited part of
Right.
it. But it sure would be nice to see more people, more kids getting involved in music
Yeah.
and stuff because you just worry sometime that you're going to run out of this thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
My son's 19, and he started a band, and
Cool.
he's actually become a good songwriter. And
Is
pretty excited to
he
hear what he
following
does.
your footsteps at all, or has he got his own thing type? Was it kind of like his own, completely different?
It is rock, and it is probably more based on alternative, 90s alternative. So, yeah, I mean, I listen to him play, and I'm like, Joey, that sounds like me when I was your age. That's
cool.
awesome.
That's cool.
So,
That's got to be really cool, actually.
yeah, I don't know why he took to it. I gave my daughter, who was younger than him, a guitar. She'd never played it. So he just grabbed it and played it, because I taught him how to play guitar when he was about 7.
And when you say taught him, you mean you teaching him chords, just a couple of little things.
I taught him some AC/DC songs.
Oh, cool! Right, that's cool. Though.
And he went and he played an AC/DC song in the elementary school talent show.
That's got to be cool too to see stuff like that.
Yeah. And then the following year, he goes to the elementary school talent show, and he doesn't even make it. He doesn't even make the tryout, and it devastates him. So he's done. He's done playing guitar at that point, until he's 19. Like, he just got back into it.
Just got his confidence back. This really wants to do it again type thing. Where
Well, he got interested in it again. It wasn't really,
yeah.
I mean, a confidence thing by this time. That was so long ago. But
yeah, right.
Diverted to other things.
Cool. So you're basically you picked up a guitar down the street, neighborhood guy. That's how you start getting into it. You start off with doing a little bit of the heavier stuff. Like I say, the stuff that introduces a lot of the rock guitar players to the guitar. That's same type of thing. And then where do you go? Do you immediately want to form a band? Or is it like a lot of times that's the next move. Let's form a band.
Well, this story is just your typical high school musician story. I met people at school. I wasn't too interested in school. Couldn't wait to go home and play my guitar. In the hallways in between classes, I would be hooking up with the other musicians and talking about where we're going after school. And we would just go jam, and everybody played guitars. And so many different musicians in high school I played with. And I started a band with a few friends in high school, and we would play parties. And
that's all you can do, and that's all you can play is the parties and stuff in high school, right?
You're
You
not
can't get into
old
the
enough
bars
to get
yet.
it. Right, I'm 15 years old, 16,
But you're learning this stuff. You're learning this through this process, right? This is how you learn this process. You got to start.
Oh yeah. Oh, we were good. We were the shit, and people wanted to come see us. They're like, this guy's great. These guys are great.
Yeah, and you're younger too. Some younger
like,
guys. You can handle it, and it's exciting.
Yeah, we had this drummer. We would do Rush songs, and man, he would just have he would have it down.
He could play Rush.
The bass player was Bill Van Giesen, a guy I went to high school with, and we would just watch him play. We were like, no shit. We're like, oh.
Wow, dude, that is pretty cool. That's the story you don't hear very often. Rush songs in high school.
Right.
That's cool, man. That's cool.
Can I swear in this?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
we encourage it. You can always tell if you look back on our episodes if there's drinking involved because every other word is the F word.
Oh, okay. I say the F word a lot, so.
It's fine with me. So anyways, so you get out of high school. So you graduate from high school. You've been doing bands throughout high school and stuff, and you're playing rock the whole time, right? This is all rock stuff. You're playing good hard rock, the Rush and all the stuff that's like you just said. Zeppelin probably. You guys are probably playing some Zeppelin and that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
And then you get out of high school. Now we were just saying, like, you got your parents and you got the family who's like, yeah, you got to make something of yourself. You got to do something. And then you're inside saying, I want to be a musician. So you still go to college. I mean, you kind of did that part.
My parents weren't that discouraging of it. My dad was like, why don't you do something this music? He would tell me that all the time that, if I needed to do something. He didn't know how to support me because he didn't know anything about it. We didn't have a lot of money, so he wasn't going to go buy me all the gear I needed.
Right.
So, those were the hurdles, the support, the gear. And at Normandy, they had, I don't remember the guy's name, but they had a music theory class when I was in, I think, 11th or 12th grade. I think I was in 12th grade, and I took that. And the guy was talking about Berklee College of Music all the time. He gave me a flyer for it, a pamphlet, and I'm like, I want to go here. This sounds great. I want to be a musician. This made sense to me. This was a path.
Yeah, right.
To take.
Yeah, sure.
So
it's kind of weird though when I think about places like Berklee. I mean, you're going to learn theory, you're going to learn that kind of thing in there and stuff like that. But do you learn how to practice better because you went to Berklee? Do you learn how to? I
think you don't get in unless you've already done that first.
Yeah, so is it basically to learn theory and stuff like that? Is it basically to
get a degree? It's a 4-year school. And the point is to get a degree. You have a major just like any other college,
right.
And you pick a career path, performance, recording. You just.
So what did you pick?
I didn't because I didn't know what the hell I wanted to do. Oh. So that was the problem. I wanted to be a rock star. There was no rock classes star. Yeah.
Right. They really should have one though. You need to learn. It would have helped a lot of people. So you never really did pick a major.
No, I only went there a year, so I didn't just come out of high school and go there. So
okay, yeah, let's go.
I didn't do well in high school. I barely squeaked by. I had to go to summer school to finish. That killed my confidence. So I took a year off even, and moved out. Thought I was going to get in a band and everything. I never had enough money to have all the right gear and everything, so I struggled a lot. So I went back to school for music at Tri-C. Oh. And I went 2 years at Tri-C, and I took guitar lessons from a guy named Rich Holsworth, which is, people know him around Cleveland, and he's still active. I still teaches at Tri-C all these years later. And there was Mr. Vanessel. He was the director of the music program at Tri-C, and they were just awesome to me. They recognized something. They saw something in me, and after a couple of years, Rich went to Berklee himself. He had a PhD as well in music, and him and Mr. Vanessel gave me a recommendation to Berklee College of Music, and they really, I give them the credit for helping me get in. So it was more of a classical trained type of thing at Tri-C prior to that, and Berklee's a jazz school, so you go there. Some of it applies, some of the classes transferred. But the focus was jazz music more.
Did you like that? Was that was that an introduction?
I was a rock guy, so I was looking for the rock guitar teacher, and everybody wanted to do rock then. So the rock guitar teacher, in order to get him as your teacher, you had to wait in line all around the block. So all these people are waiting to try to sign in. I'm like, I'm not doing that. Oh yeah. I'll just get a jazz teacher. So I got a jazz teacher, and I was interested in it, but it wasn't my thing. I mean, I was okay at it.
Didn't change it. You weren't drawn into it like you were. I wasn't
drawn into it, but it did help me learn how to improvise better, for sure. I mean, that's all we did. We sat around the dorm and we
just jammed.
It was like high school, but every day.
Yeah, but that's fun though. I mean, that could be a lot of fun too. I mean, oh yeah, man, for sure.
It was great.
And at this time, are you still into the rock music? To say, I mean, throughout that whole entire process?
Yeah, it's weird because I'm totally into different stuff now than I was then. But I was into, at the time, we were getting into grunge almost, and it was right in that 1990, 91.
The transition was happening.
And I didn't get it at first, and a lot of my roommate was playing Jane's Addiction all the time.
Yeah, I loved him.
And REM, which, I quickly went from being into like Steve Vai and 80s hair metal.
Yeah, right. The
Rush
guitar gods of the
into
time.
That.
Yeah.
So I followed the trends pretty much.
Yeah, right. So that's cool. So did you, now when the grunge thing hit, did you eventually start playing that kind of music also? Were you the bands that you were in? Was that what you guys were doing, more of the 90s stuff like at that point? Are you staying current, or are you even doing cover stuff? Or are you immediately writing?
Well, here was my big mistake. Here's what happened then. So early 90s, I was spending a lot of money going to Berkeley. So I just, in the back of my head, I'm like, oh my God, I'm in so much in debt. And when you're going to Berkeley and you can't see the path of where you're going, I want to be a rock star. I didn't see that there. I did well. I got good grades. And I'm like, I can't do this because I'm going to be $40,000 in debt, which was a lot of money back then. Still is.
and you didn't see the end of the tunnel of this.
I didn't see where money. I was going to go that was going to make me happy. So I went back home. I went to Tri-C again, Cleveland State, and I changed my major. And in the back of my head, I always wanted to do music still. So I ended up doing computer programming. So what I wish I would have done was stayed with music, because the early 90s, I probably would have started a band and got in that whole grunge trend.
I got you.
So I skipped it until the late 90s. I got back into it.
I got you. So there's like there was that little bit of a doubt about the music career because you didn't see the light really at the end of the tunnel, and so it kind of forced you into that other direction temporarily, which there's a time now.
Which was a great thing because I started making money, but my happiness, I mean, that's all I did. My whole life was surrounded as music. That's all I thought about. That's all I did in high school. I just want to go home, like I said, and play my guitar.
Yeah, that was
it. I sat
it.
in my room forever. That's why I got good.
Which is the story.
And I abandoned it.
That's the story of the musician, right? I mean, like all you musicians, that's what you do. You're obsessed. It's like it's all you can think about. You practice. It's all you want to do. All the other stuff doesn't matter. I mean, how many guys do we talk to that say, "I don't think I could do a 9 to 5. I just don't think I could do it. I'm not built that way. I need, I play. That's what I do. I play." And there are ways today, still, to make it your career, and you can make enough money if you hustle.
Absolutely. And for the first time in my life, I'm actually focusing on going down that path. Late in the game, yeah.
But you can do it.
I don't care.
A lot of the guys are in their 40s and 50s doing it right now, and they're doing just fine.
Yeah, if I'm 85 years old and I can still do it, I'm gonna.
Hell yeah.
Keith Richards, the Rolling Stones. You got the Rolling Stones shirt.
Oh yeah,
on.
they can keep going. And
one of my favorite bands, by the way, now.
Good. I pulled out a good shirt.
Yeah.
And then eventually, we always say, like, it'll be like our 40th season. We'll have you back on, and you'll be 83 years old, and we'll be like, remember him? All right, guys, we're gonna take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll talk a little bit more, Brian.
All right.
Hey everybody, it's DJ Terry from the Homegrown Hit Show on 216 The Beat Radio with your list of rockin' events for this week. Starting Thursday, February 16th, it's James Begin at the Crowbar in Cleveland. And then on Friday, February 17th, it's Truss, and they're at the Grog Shop in Cleveland Heights. Also on Friday, it's Tricky Dick and the Cover-Ups, and they're at the Time Warp Bar in Westlake. And on Saturday, February 18th, it's Tricky Dick and the Cover-Ups again, but this time they're at the Round the Corner in Lakewood. So whatever you do, keep rocking, keep supporting local music, and check out my show on 216 Beat Radio when you can. This is DJ Terry, and I'm out.
Hello, Cleveland. I am ZM Delgado, author of the Rust Belt Rock Review at ZachO'Lantern.com, and this is your weekend concert calendar update. First off, Friday the 17th At the Grog Shop, it's Truss, with supporting acts Quick Mystery, Hello Luna, and the Yellow Elevators. Second on the agenda, Saturday the 18th at No Class, it's Public Serpents, with Hussey, John, and the Plaid Disasters. And finally, Sunday the 19th at No Class, it's All Out War, with support from Live It Down, Youngstown Malice, Not One Truth, and Hate Still Burns. There you have it, Cleveland. 3 great shows on the agenda. Hope to see you out there. Until next time, rock on, Rust Belt.
And we're back with Brian Alan Hager. And so we talked a little bit about high school and kind of got into the Berkeley thing. And so after Berkeley, you transitioned, you now are basically a musician.
Trying to be a regular dude, actually.
Really?
After I left Berkeley, because I was...
So did you get a job? I mean, did you take on a job as a computer?
I did, yeah.
So that was... And did you make that your career?
I did.
Okay.
But the whole time, I was always in my basement recording, always playing out, had a band, and I wasn't happy with what I was doing with my career, to be honest with you.
Yeah, right.
And
so that was just kind of like making money, but not happiness.
Right. I mean, it's in my soul. I can't get away from it. I'm not happy unless I'm performing, recording, and
what's your favorite part of music? Is it writing, creating? What
all of it. That's a good question. I probably answer it differently today because I like it all. I probably would have said recording in the past and being the artist and writing the music, but
being in the studio basically.
Yeah, but now I love performing. Ever since I've been doing the solo thing, I've been super satisfied with the way I've been playing live, and I've been getting better, and I love putting on a show. I played in a band called Vanity Crash for a while, and that really got me into performing, because that was like Feather Bow is the glam music. I don't know if you know I was in that band, but or anything about them, but it's very early 70s David Bowie, Ziggy Stardust type influence stuff, and that really got me into performing, and I was a different person at that point on stage than I was not on stage.
Oh, I got you. So it brought an alternate character out of you almost.
It did, absolutely. Yeah. which was good and bad because shyness, fuck that. There was no such thing.
Yeah, right.
I mean, I used to go up there and just be cocky, and I loved it. And it got me, not that I was ever in a shell, but it really got me focused on performing and out of the shell. And I was like, I don't give a crap. I'll do whatever. But at the same time, I became a character, and I didn't know how to be the same person on and off the stage. So I wrestled with it for quite a while. So I started a band called the Chromes, and I loved rock and roll. It was very rock and roll based, but I was being a character. I was being this rock star. It's
just almost like the Alice Cooper type thing, where you're like Alice Cooper on stage, and then when you come off, you're not that guy anymore.
Well, I didn't really know who I was off the stage at that point. I thought I was the person on stage, and off the stage, I started acting like that.
Oh, so it crept into your regular life almost.
Right, which is not a.
But kind of it is, because you wanted to be a rock star, and that's what you're kind of becoming.
But I didn't know who I was. That was the. Because I wasn't really a rock star.
You were just a musician, basically, playing music.
But I was a rock star wannabe. So now, the Condition thing's my new album, and my focus was just, look, I'm just going to be who I am, and I'm going to write an album that's really about me. And that's what I did. And I don't care what style it even comes across, and it's just going to be whatever. And then I started playing out by myself since 2019, and I've learned how to just be myself. And
so is that what eventually then became your first album? These songs that you were doing, or did you eventually turn those into your first LP, or were you releasing singles? Were you just writing songs?
I was writing
live?
an album. I was writing an album, and I wasn't worried about playing them live, but the plan was to play them live. And
eventually, once it was done.
Yeah.
You weren't trying them out at all live or anything like that. Some people will do that. They'll try their songs out live before they actually.
I did. I did play some of them before.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because the album came out in this year, but I was playing some of the songs in 2019, probably 4 or 5. There's, I think, 10 songs on the album. And, so I just wrote all the songs for the album.
And the album we're talking about, The Condition of Things, that was the album that it eventually became.
Right.
So how do you come up with that name, by the way? Was that just
Well, the whole album, all the songs are basically, like I told you, I didn't know who I was anymore. I was trying to be this persona all the time. I'm exaggerating a little bit, of course, I know who I am, but I didn't know how to present myself musically as myself instead of the character.
I got you.
So I thought, okay, I'm in a band now, a side project called Infinite 12 with this artist called Guy Vincent, by the way. He's great. Great. Anyway, so we were doing stuff in the early 90s. So after I came back from Berkeley, I hooked up with him. So I missed telling you this part. So like around 93, 94, 95. So I never really did stop doing it. I was working with him, and we were trying to make it. And we were sending tapes to labels. I was on the phone. We had bought books, trying to find contacts. We're calling people.
Hustling.
Every day, hustling, sending tapes out. We had some interest, but it didn't work out. I mean, it's a shot in the dark.
This is like pre-internet, too. So it's
pre-internet.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, yes. So I was doing that, and I really liked the way we worked together, and we were super creative, and I still work with him to this day. He's an awesome artist. Probably nobody I work with as well as I do with him. He's just really relaxed, and he's super creative, and he helps bring out my creativity. So I thought, I want to make an album like what we used to do as my solo album. And I just want to be creative, and my lyrics are going to be about how I feel at the moment. And at the moment, I was coming out of a darker period, trying to learn how to be positive, because I was going through a lot of, I'm getting to answer your question, by the way.
That's fine. Oh, yeah.
So I was coming out of having a lot of anxiety, and there was a lot of stress in my life with my work. I went through a divorce.
That'll do it.
And that all caught up with me, and I was having panic attacks, and I was trying to figure out how to be positive, and I just wrote songs about what I was going through and try to be positive. And the condition of things, it's kind of like an expression that's in Buddhism. And there's twofold. So part of it is like, this is the current condition of my life.
Snapshot.
Yeah, snapshot of my life, and I put it into all the songs. And Buddhism, I'm not going to probably explain it really well, but basically you're in the present and you're slowly moving towards nirvana. I mean, you're always in the current state of things, and you should be focusing on that, and not worrying about your past
or your
not
future.
Worrying about your future.
Living in the moment.
And that's been my mantra, I guess, since then. And
it worked for you?
I got a tattoo.
Oh.
My first tattoo, I got another one here, and it's really
reminders. Are they reminders to you?
Reminders, exactly.
That's cool. And and I noticed you have them positioned so that when you're playing the guitar,
I can see them.
That's
That's
exactly.
It's for me. It's not for everybody else.
Right. I just noticed that as soon as I saw that, I'm like, oh, you can see it perfectly.
Yeah, and this is an Una Lome. This is about my path in life, about straightening it out and becoming stable and working towards nirvana.
Oh, I see. And there's little things that happen along the way, and it's not just a straight line constant.
Your life starts here.
Yeah.
And then you have struggle. And I'm not a Buddhist, but I do like the Buddhist concept. So that's where the condition of things came from. So
let me ask you a quick question, because of your, I've always wanted to ask this, and I always forget to, but it just for some reason it popped into my head. So when you were younger and you were thinking about being a rock star, okay, there was a whole different world of music. Was different then. You could if you wrote 2 good hits, you could retire. I mean, that was enough to retire, right? Then the Napster thing happens, and so that happens, right? And you're in the middle of wanting to be a musician, and you see all this go down. How are you feeling about it? I mean, like, did you at all at that point recognize what the possibilities of the future now were
absolutely.
because of it?
I was always more of a visionary, and I saw it as a positive thing. It polarized everybody.
Yeah.
So there was the Metallica,
Right. The whole
And
Lars thing.
people who
Right.
subscribed to that was like, this is awful. This is ruining the music industry. And then there was the people who I looked at it as this is because there was also the internet, so I can post stuff on the internet. I actually started a web page called the Unsigned Artists.
Oh.
And people were sending me money to strip their CDs, put them into, at the time it was called real audio files, and I was posting them, and I was getting flooded with these. I couldn't keep up.
No kidding.
Oh, yeah. And I could have turned that into a business, but I was working during the day, and I just didn't have the time. I had kids, and but it was doing well. Then I actually gave it to somebody, and I don't think he ever did anything with it. But that was pre-mp3.com.
Do you still feel that way though? I mean, to this day, do you
not at
feel
all.
like Napster was a good thing now?
No, it's horrible. It's awful.
So you can see the damage it created.
It ruined the music industry, and it's made it really hard now. There's too many cars on the road now, and there's nothing controlling the it's a supply and
The
demand.
volume.
Yeah.
The volume is insane.
It's insane. And for an artist to make it nowadays, I saw an interview with John Mayer the other day, and he said that if he started today, he doesn't think he would ever make it because there's just too much out there.
There's a ton of John Mayers.
Yeah. And that's the unfortunate thing. So that's what it's turned into.
Yeah, but I mean, like, it's funny because when you say make it, you know, it's kind of like it's kind of like, well, it's kind of like talking about something that doesn't exist anymore, right? When you're saying make it, I mean, it does exist, but you have to be in that such elite. There's just such an elite amount of people that ever reach that plateau any longer.
The definition now is changed. It's more it's more relative to what your goals are.
Totally. Because if you're somebody who's a musician like yourself, who has it in you to just be that, and you can make a living doing this in some form, you've made it. Right? I mean, right. I mean,
that's what it is to me now.
Correct.
I'm not looking to. I'm probably not. Like, am I going to be huge? No, probably not.
Yeah, right. But you don't have to be, because that's not where the happiness comes from.
But
right?
that's where it was before. That's what my goal was. I wanted to be a rock star. I wanted to be famous.
At what point were you ever like this? Did you ever get like disappointed about the fact that music industry has changed? And did you ever just become like discouraged by it?
Absolutely, 100%. I'm past that. Every now and then I'm like, this is crazy, but no, I mean, I don't care anymore because I'm not looking to.
So it's just a hustle at this point, right? You just got to keep you just got to keep doing it, right? There just can't be a quit in you in this business, because let's just be honest, the one thing the internet does is it does give you exposure, but the other thing it does is that if you have a void of time in your thing, there's somebody right there to fill that void right
Absolutely.
up, and people forget about you in 2 seconds.
There's too much to do now in order to get exposure. I'm here for the same reason, to get exposure. I have an Instagram page. I see myself because there's a big thing on Instagram where people are looking to learn guitar, and so I'll play guitar licks just to put out there for people who are looking to learn, because I feel, one, it's nice to help people get to becoming a good guitar player, but it's also going to hopefully get people to recognize who I am, go see my stuff on listen to my stuff on Spotify, learn a little bit about me, and
and there's
inspire people.
And there are videos out there too of you playing live, and there's some other stuff out there. Yeah, there's stuff there. There's stuff out there. I mean,
but that's such a chore. Who has the time to do all that?
Especially when you're all doing it by yourself.
Yeah, after a while, I'm like, I can't be focusing on all this. I can't do it all.
So the album that you actually put out, The Condition of Things, if for people to understand what it is, it's a softer side. It's not a real hard edge type album. It's a softer side. It seems like you play a lot with ambiances and stuff like that. You play around with some different like atmospheric type, feeling type stuff. It's not just all straight guitar and stuff like that. It seems like you got some synth that you mix in there also and stuff like that. Do you play the keys? I mean,
yes, I do. It was actually my first instrument before a guitar. My dad had an organ that he got probably for me, because I think he wanted just me or one of my brothers just to learn music, and I took to it. And so what I'm not a great keyboard player,
but good enough to where you understand, and plus you have some knowledge of just the music theory itself, where you can, because the keys are so, but see, the keys are so easy to understand the basic theories of things, because it's so laid out in front of you. Everything is like a pattern.
A, B, C, D, E, F, G.
Yeah,
H.
it's such a beautiful way to learn music. That's why I think a lot of
Right.
people start off with the keys and the pianos and stuff like that. So why do you think you go to such a I mean, everything we've talked about, I mean, let's just be honest, everything we've talked about as far as you go through your whole time, you're harder edge, you're more of a traditional guitar player. You're playing the stuff that lends itself to guitar. Now all of a sudden you put out an album and it's kind of a different.
Because I've always been an artist, and I didn't really focus on that part of me. And the atmospheric stuff you're talking about, it just works with my voice, and it works with the subject matter that I was doing, and it's from an artistic.
You heard it in your
perspective.
head this way, would you say?
Yes, because I think that I was, like I said earlier, I was trying to do what I was doing with Guy Vincent back in the early '90s.
How you guys worked together, how you
Yeah.
guys were able to. Was that like a trust thing? You just trusted this guy's opinions and he trusted you, and so therefore it just you could just with no hesitance.
It's unbelievable. It was more than trust. It's just like we agree almost all the time. It's so hard to work with somebody like that.
And once you have, it's kind of probably hard to work with somebody else. You know?
Yeah, if I say to him, God, that doesn't really work. It's too this or that. And he's like, yeah, you're right. And vice versa.
Yeah, right. It's just click.
It's, yeah.
So now, the album's been out for a year, and you've put out some stuff. I mean, there's some stuff you've put out off this album, singles and stuff like that along the way, right? I mean, you there's some. Well, like what's the first single you put out?
Started with singles. The first single I put out was called "The Race." It was all instrumental. It's something I recorded a few years back, and I was sitting on, and I thought I should release this. So I released it. It's the first thing I did, and soon after, I'm like, oh, I got to do more.
Yeah.
And then, okay, I'm going to do stuff with vocals now. At the time, I recorded that when I was playing with Vanity Crash, and I wasn't singing. I just started singing probably 2010.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that's cool.
I mean, I sang background with Vanity Crash.
You could always sing, but you weren't a lead singer. You weren't coming out and
Right.
doing lead vocals and stuff,
Right.
which is a totally different thing. And that's the other thing. Learning how to do that and play guitar at the same time, was it something you had to actually buckle down and do, or was it more natural for you to be able to do?
It comes kind of natural to me, but I have to practice it first. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah, because
I learned how to do it, and I learned how to write a song around it. So at first, I would write parts that I really struggled playing, and I got a limited time. I'm not John Mayer. I'm not 8 hours a day doing this, and because John Mayer is an example of somebody who writes really intricate parts and sings over it. He's great at it.
Yeah,
It probably comes more natural to him than it did at first, but if I think for anybody, if you're writing a really complicated counter melody to your vocals, it's going to take some practice if they're very different. So I try to stay towards, when I'm playing guitar, to keep it up and down strokes and
so you
rhythmic.
do consider that when you're
I
doing
consider it, yes. Occasionally I don't, but it always bites me.
that. All right, you almost forget. I forgot I
So-
should have done that.
So some of those early singles I was singing over, like one of them in particular called I Don't Feel. I have a hard time playing that live, and I just never got around to being able to sing that one and play at the same time. But most of the time, it's not too much of a challenge.
So you've been playing this album for the last year out. When you're playing out, you're playing mostly a lot of your new stuff. This is and do you mix in this stuff when you play out with cover tunes and stuff, or do you just play cover tunes, or when you're playing out in front of people, do you do both, or?
It depends where I'm playing. I'll play some wineries where they want all originals, which is great. So I'll play a couple hours all originals, and other places I'll put covers in. And I'll do popular covers. Anything from the Rolling Stones to I'll do Coldplay, John Mayer, all over the board.
Yeah.
Jimi Hendrix, popular songs. I just like popular commercial music as an art form, and I know a lot of people think that's probably those words don't go together.
Well, it's music. I mean, I think that people who think that are people who allow themselves to get pigeonholed into certain things and don't realize that there really shouldn't be any boundaries.
Right.
You shouldn't. It should.
And yeah, that was what the condition of things I kind of was to me, no boundaries. And you can tell some of the songs could be catchier, but I wasn't focused on that. Where like I said, that was more just free form. I'm going to do whatever I want. But I do like commercial music as an art form. And the next thing I'm working on, I've already got a couple songs recorded and I've learned this from playing out the last few years. I've learned what people like to hear. I learned what my strengths are. I learned, I need to focus on my guitar playing more because people really gravitate towards that. I love rock and roll. I love soul music, so I'm doing an album of rock.
Coming up, that's the
Distorted
next.
guitars, yes.
So that's
Oh, yeah.
2023. 2023 is going to be
2023 for sure. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to release an album. I'm going to release the album one song at a time. Smashing Pumpkins did something like this. Can't remember the name of the album, but one of their recent albums, Billy Corgan, he's Smashing Pumpkins pretty much.
Yeah.
Released one song at a time and filled an album. You can do that with the distributor that I'm using.
Yeah.
So I'm going to start
popular.
with Bandcamp first. So I'm going to release the songs at Bandcamp, probably 2 at a time, 1 at a time, depending. I'll probably release one actually in a few weeks here. 2 songs. I've got 2 songs in the can that I'm going to release, and then that's going to start building the album.
So you are in this one you're gonna release the songs, and then at the end of all the releases, then you'll have
I'll have the finished album.
the whole finished album
by the
done
end of the
first.
year.
That's cool. And that, we talk about that all the time here. That's become a trendy type thing to how to release music now because it keeps you relevant. And it also I mean I feel, you know, like we talk about a lot, you know, an album it's a big undertaking to create all those songs and then put out that huge amount of work, and there's a lot that goes into all that where you can lose some focus on certain songs, and certain songs will gain more focus because you don't have so much time to do all this stuff. Where when you're releasing these one at a time, each song gets its own individual attention to the point where, all right, this song is done, now it's time to release it, and so the songs don't suffer. You know, like you can really pay attention to these.
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword, though, because if you're going to release an album and you focus so much on a single song, it's easy to lose sight of what the album's going to sound like. And and sometimes you end up with great songs that don't go together to cohesive work. So in the back of your mind, what are you doing? I like releasing albums that have a sound.
Right, so the album is one work.
Yeah. So the first song that I did for this coming up album I'm going to release, I spent so much time on the first song because I was trying to figure out, okay, what's the sound of this album? What do I want to sound like? And I think I finally got it. So now I have all these drafts of songs, and I started going through and started recording those. Okay, well, this is all falling together now because I'm not going to be spending all that time figuring out what's this album sound like.
Yeah. What about lyrics? Let me move into that real quick because that's a whole different thing that goes into writing these songs. You know, knowing how to play the guitar and write music is one thing. That's one different side of your brain. And then the lyric thing is a whole different set of rules and things and talents. And so, was it something that you were? I mean, let's just be honest. You already told me you weren't very good in school, so I'm wondering, you know what I mean? But honestly, a lot of that comes from schooling.
But I paid attention, and I did go to college, so
right.
I got really good grades in college, and that helped. And I took English classes. I actually was pretty good at writing even in high school, but I just didn't apply myself.
But you did have a talent for it.
Oh, I could always write fairly well, But when I first started writing lyrics, I didn't get that I actually need to spend more time on these and think about it more. So I spend a lot more time on the lyrics now, and I, at first, didn't really know what I was saying as much as I do now. It's like when I write a song now, I know what I'm trying to say. And
so you have a whole point?
Oh, yeah.
Do you find that you match lyrics with music? So, like, this song feels like a sunny day, so I'm going to write a song.
No, I'm not David Lee Roth. David Lee Roth does that, I read.
Does he?
Yeah.
He matches the feel.
Oh, yeah. He'll hear this groove. Oh, yeah, that sounds like a freight train. So he starts singing about trains or something.
Yeah, right. Well, David Lee Roth has always had a tendency to not sing about any specific thing sometimes. He just words.
And that's what happens when you do that.
Like you said, you're going to be putting out the new album. People can watch out because you're going to be putting out songs along the way here. Yep. So just keep looking out for the songs. And you're going to be playing live. You already got a lot of the year booked up.
Yeah,
you got a
my
bunch
whole
of
year's
dates
booked. I'll be adding more, but I'm booked from now until the end of the year. Every month, several shows already booked.
Are you like a lot of artists where you have certain venues that you repeat
Yes.
and play out like a rotation?
Yeah, I play at Wolf Creek Winery every second Wednesday of the month. That's one, and I rotate around on most of the others randomly. I'm playing Lorello's. I have 4 gigs at Lorello's in Geneva this year.
Cool.
Broadview Brewery, Broadview Brewing, Broadview Heights. I play there. I'm thinking of all the Cleveland area ones. I have a recurring gig in Indiana, in Indianapolis, at a place called Urban Vines
How'd you get
Winery
that?
and Brewery.
Just
Family out there. I got one in New York coming up in March.
nice. So you're playing
21
outside
bricks.
of the States.
Oh yeah, I
that's
like
cool.
to travel and.
So do people get a hold of you? I mean, to see where your stuff's all at and everything. Do you got a webpage set up for yourself?
BrianAlanHager.com.
Facebook.
Facebook, Instagram. I wouldn't say I do a lot of posts on Instagram, but I try to do several a week. So I got that. Yeah.
And I also want to thank you for coming in and playing Walk It Off for us. That was cool. That was very cool.
Appreciate that.
And hope everybody enjoyed that.
Yeah.
And that's something that that's on the album that's already been released.
Yes.
So that just gets to give everybody a little taste of what that album's about. And check it out on your website, Facebook, Instagram, all the different things that they can get in touch with you and see you. And I've watched a bunch of stuff on YouTube also. So if they want to see some of the performances, you can go there on YouTube.
I've got a YouTube page too. My schedule's on my website. If anybody wants to know where I'm playing,
Cool.
just click on the schedule on my website. It's all up to date all the time.
Cool. Another local guy making it happen, man. I love that. I do. I think that's so cool. Brian Alan Hager, guys. Keep your eye out for him. And that's about it from us. It's about all the time we got.
Thanks. It was a pleasure and honored to be on your show. I
Appreciate that.
I've seen your shows, by the way. You asked me that earlier. I didn't
Yeah. Cool.
I saw the Billy Sullivan one, which was...
That was a good one.
Yeah.
That was one of my favorites, too.
Yeah.
All right, guys. We'll see you guys all next week.
Yes.
Peace out.
Ready when you
Way
are.
to do it. Yeah, I'm ready. Let's go. All right. Gonna live, you can breathe. Just walk it off now, and you'll see things will get better. They always do. It's what my dad said when I was feeling blue. Just walk it off, walk it off. Walk it off, walk it off now. You know I'm so proud of you. You always said that made me feel good. You don't really need me, you're doing fine. But he's gone now, he was always there for me. It's gonna get better, you'll see. And I'll be there. It's gonna get better, for sure. And I'll be there for you, for you, for you, there for you. You got the wind knocked out of you. You'll be alright, you'll forget this happened to you. And by tomorrow, it will have passed. One day I'll be gone, but I'll still be there for you. It's gonna get better, you'll see. And I'll be there. It's gonna get better for sure. And I'll
sure. I'll be there. I'll be there. I'll be there. Things will get better for sure. I'll be there, walking off, walking off, walking off. Thank you.
Thanks, man.
Hi guys, we're at Sparky's in Conneaut, Ohio, and that there is Sparky, and that's his lovely wife. And oh look, Jen, they're bringing our food. I jumped ship there. So you want to tell us a little bit about your place?
Kick off. Sparky's Place, we've been here now for a little over 5 years. We moved into town probably about 7 years ago, fell in love with Conneaut. It's such a friendly town. And the one thing that we noticed was there wasn't a place like this here, so we came up with the idea to open it up.
Awesome, awesome. Best mashed potatoes ever, and gravy. That's why we're here today, actually. These are our friends, but they have stuffing and potatoes. We'll get some pictures of that later, guys. This is, I don't know if you can see this, but this is the patio, and it's open year-round, I do believe. Is that a fact?
Yes, actually the way we engineered it is we can utilize this patio. If it's 10 degrees outside, we can heat this up to almost 80 degrees. So it's kind of like sitting in a snow globe. It's kind of fun.
Yes.
But as you know,
Yeah, we've
you
done
play
that
here,
many a day.
we have live music all year long. On the weekends, we can actually open up our windows into the dining room so everyone inside the restaurant can hear the music as well as the outside.
Also, isn't this available for banquets and parties?
Absolutely, we do rent it out for private parties.
And you supply the food?
Yes, absolutely. We do bridal showers, holiday parties, a little bit of everything, birthday parties. So certainly people can call us and set that up.
And your menu is pretty extensive. From
Pretty amazing.
yes, from turkey and stuffing to they have that egg thing that you make, the breakfast.
The brunch bake, the Western
Yes.
brunch bake. It's kind of like a quiche with ham, peppers, onions, roasted red peppers, cheddar cheese, and an egg custard. But instead of crust, we put it on a tater tot base.
Yes, it's,
So-
it's absolutely
We do
fantastic.
that on
Now,
On Sundays, we open at noon, and that's when we start that.
now there's another thing that I gotta bring up. I want you to explain because when I saw you making the smoked drink, you had a smoky drink that you had when I took the cup off of it. It had smoke coming out.
Oh, yeah.
Explain.
Looks like
Yeah.
a volcano.
Yes.
So because we're located in Conneaut, Ohio, we used to travel for work, and we would go. We would work in New York City, Chicago.
Yeah, you went worldwide.
Yeah. Worked in Europe, England, all over Canada. We saw in a tiny little place they were cold smoking cocktails. So our favorite cocktail is Manhattan. So they smoked one for us, and we thought we
This
have
is
to
it.
do that here. It's the best
Awesome.
Manhattan we ever had. So we can actually cold smoke old fashions, bourbon drinks, whiskey-based drinks. They all benefit from the cold smoke. We can do applewood, cherrywood, hickory, and mesquite.
Oh, that's awesome. We're going to take a walk and go see the inside. And, get a picture of that thing for me, would you? Yeah, eat your heart out. And it's also handicap accessible. That was one thing I
Absolutely
appreciate.
paved parking lot.
Yes.
And then in the summertime, we actually add the big tent outside.
Right, there's another tent outside.
And then we have the musicians play out there. We
There.
have a stage set up so that way it increases the footprint.
Oh,
And
that's just amazing.
it's a party in the summertime.
Oh,
For
yes.
sure.
Jenny, come on. Guide us through, Jen. See the arrow? Follow the arrow. Okay, so this is the other side. Let's go over to the bar.
Yeah, that'll be fine.
I don't believe there's a liquor or a beer that's on the planet that you don't have.
We do have the largest selection of craft beer and bourbon in the county. We have 40 bourbons and
Jesus.
over 160 beers, 10 on tap all the time.
That is just awesome. And the drinks are just fantastic. Oh, you're special. You're 2 for 2 for 2.
Happy hour now, 3 to 5:30, Monday through Friday. $2 off draft beer, $2 off our fresh apple cider slushies, and then in the summertime, we have fresh squeezed lemonade slushies that we make, and we can hot rod them with a little something for mom and dad.
They make fantastic adult beverages.
Yes,
What's
they
in
do.
there is non-alcoholic, but we mix it.
The slushies are amazing. I get one every time.
We mix it to
absolutely.
flavor profiles and make some amazing drinks. Right now, I think our most popular is either the caramel apple slushy, which has caramel
we've
and
had
apple
several
vodka
of those.
and caramel drizzle, and we also do an apple pie slushy, which has vanilla and spiced vodka, and it is topped with whipped cream and a piece of pie crust.
Okay. Well, maybe we'll get to that if I make it through that. Thank you guys so very much. Let me
Thank you so
first.
much.
You got
There you go.
Thank you, sweetheart.
Thank you.
Always
Always good to see
day.
you.
We're going to go eat our dinner. Bye, everybody. I
Hope
gotta
to
go
see
eat.
you.
Thanks, guys.
That'll be fine.